Myth versus reality. In the stark black and white world of Middle Eastern rivalries, many assume that a nation must choose a side. This is the prevailing wisdom applied to the escalating showdown between Israel and Iran. For many observers, Qatar, the small but fabulously wealthy Gulf emirate, must surely be aligned with one camp or the other. Is it a clandestine partner to Iran, sharing gas fields? Or is it a quiet friend of the West, and by extension, a potential interlocutor with Israel? This simplistic binary, however, crumbles under scrutiny. The sharp question we must ask is not which side Qatar is on, but what multi-layered game it is playing from the center. The truth is more complex and more interesting. Qatar thrives in the gray spaces in between. It has mastered being many things to many different actors, often simultaneously. Its foreign policy is a web of cultivated relationships that reach bitter adversaries. To comprehend Qatar's balancing act today, one must look back to the 1990s, when its modern foreign policy was born. After a peaceful palace coup in 1995 brought Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani to power, Qatar set a radical new course. Armed with the world's third-largest natural gas reserves, Qatar had the means to carve out an independent role. The concept was simple, execution complex. Use wealth to buy security, influence, autonomy. Qatar is a small peninsula sharing the world's largest undersea gas field with Iran. A conventional security strategy was untenable. It could never overpower larger neighbors. So it embraced comprehensive security, embedded so deeply in global systems that an attack on Qatar risks others' interests. Hosting U.S. Central Command at Al Udeid provided an unparalleled security guarantee, an insurance policy. Simultaneously, Qatar built bridges with actors the U.S. and allies viewed with suspicion. It maintained cordial relations with Iran and engaged Islamist movements. Launching Al Jazeera gave Qatar a powerful voice, often challenging regional narratives. This open-door policy often put it at odds with GCC heavyweights, especially Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Qatar's relationship with Israel is calibrated. Quiet contact, public distance. Unlike the UAE and Bahrain, which normalized ties in 2020, Qatar refuses full diplomatic relations. It holds to the Arab position. Normalization follows a viable Palestinian state. Publicly, Qatari officials often criticize Israeli policies regarding occupation and the blockade of Gaza. Starting in 1996, Israel operated a trade mission in Doha, a quiet but significant channel. It closed in 2009, but the precedent for direct engagement remained. Since then, practical coordination has continued on specific issues, absent formal recognition. Gaza is the most notable arena. Qatar funds aid and reconstruction in coordination with Israel. Israeli officials recognize Qatari funds help prevent economic collapse and wider violence. For Qatar, this builds leverage with Hamas and Western powers. For Israel, it manages a simmering crisis without direct funding. As one former Israeli official put it, when they need to talk to Hamas, the address is in Doha. Qatar's ties to Iran are shaped by geography and geology more than choice. Across a short gulf lies a shared giant. South Pars on Iran's side, North Dome on Qatar's. This field fuels Qatar's economy and helps sustain a sanctioned Iran. Mutual dependence compels engagement, not confrontation. Any Gulf conflict imperils Qatar's gas lifelines, the foundation of its wealth. Hence, Qatar advocates dialogue and often bridges Tehran and the West. This stance has clashed with hawks in the GCC. The 2017 blockade pushed Doha closer to Tehran. Iran opened airspace and shipped essentials. The crisis cemented the value of a functional Iran link for security and survival. While allies rely on sanctions and deterrence, Qatar can phone Iranian officials directly. That access enables message passing, clarifying intentions, and mediating prisoner swaps. It is risky, often criticized, but to Doha, It is pragmatic statecraft to avert war. Perhaps no aspect of Qatari policy is more controversial than its relationship with Hamas. Since 2012, Qatar has hosted Hamas political leaders in Doha. Critics in Israel, the United States, and Arab states call this state sponsorship of terrorism. They argue Doha grants legitimacy and undermines isolation efforts. Qatar counters, hosting is not endorsement, it is leverage for mediation. A designated political address enables diplomacy by the US, EU, and indirectly, Israel. This channel has been vital for ceasefires, swaps, and humanitarian coordination. Qatar's billions in aid, coordinated with Israel and the UN, help keep Gaza from total collapse. Unlike some neighbors, Doha treats Islamist movements as political forces that cannot be ignored. The aim is to moderate behavior and integrate actors into political processes, with mixed results. In Hamas's case, the priority is de-escalation and humanitarian relief. Critics see underwriting. Qatar sees crisis management through money and access to prevent wider war. The myth that Qatar has chosen a side in the Israel-Iran conflict is just that, a myth. In reality, Qatar practices strategic hedging and multi-directional engagement. It is a U.S. partner, an Iranian neighbor, a financier for Gaza, and an interlocutor for Israel. These roles are not confusion, but a calculated strategy for survival and influence. Qatar is a facilitator, not a primary actor. It cannot force Iran to abandon nuclear ambitions, nor compel Israel toward a two-state solution. Its leverage is soft. It convenes, communicates, finances, and acts as a circuit breaker. It can offer off-ramps and relief, but not stop a war great powers insist on fighting. The 2017 blockade proved both Qatar's limits and its resilience. What to watch next? Whether Doha hosts secret back-channel talks, whether it negotiates hostage or prisoner releases, a classic Qatari function, and how Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and the United States respond. Reactions that define Doha's operating space.